Assalamu alaikum, dear brothers and sisters. I hope you're well. In a small room, a dark dungeon is present, with bloodstains, human flesh, and excreta strewn across the walls. The only source of ventilation is a small opening that allows fresh air to enter and exit. The only company is cockroaches and mice, and the inmates are confined to heavy chains around their necks, hands, and feet. The guards provide only stale food to eat, that too, once every 5 to 10 days. Eventually, the guards close the small ventilation and the inmate dies slowly from suffocation and the pain, sexual abuse, and torture they have endured for months. This is not a plot of a horror movie that we are narrating to you, but a real life that every inmate of the notorious prison had to face for years. But how is it possible that a person is suffering so much in prison and it never came into light? Because this prison is not an ordinary prison, but none other than Sednaya prison, which has the nickname Human Slaughterhouse for a reason. Bashar al-Assad was forced to leave Syria as Syrian rebels led by the Islamist organization Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, HTS, took control of city after city along the route to Damascus. Along with seizing the country's HTS, they also unlocked the regime's several infamous prisons, where over 100,000 people vanished over the course of the country's nearly 14-year civil war, and what they found exposed the cruelty the inmates were facing for years. The rebels found a huge 5-story underground structure that housed the final Assad regime detainees who were struggling to breathe. As soon as Sednaya prison was opened, rebels, as well as locals, wandered around the maze-like complex, going from cell to cell, looking for any hint as to where their friends and family could be. The concrete flooring of the solitary confinement cells was covered in dirt and water. Each has a single food bowl made of metal. There were feces all around. This is the area where all the detainees used to eat and sleep, with blood and human excrete all over the small room. Fearing that prisoners were going hungry and suffocating from a lack of oxygen, they were rushing to find the secret basement section, which they dubbed the Red Wing. The director of Syria's civil defense group, the White Helmets, Raid al-Saleh, claimed on Monday that the prison was hell for the inmates. Sednaya doesn't give the impression that it is a prison. It is human slaughterhouse, where human beings are being slaughtered and tortured, al-Saleh stated. Saleh elaborated by adding that the compound executed people daily and that rescuers found corpses in ovens. In the corner, locals spotted a shaky, shaven-headed guy who had been so brutally tortured that he had lost his memory and found it difficult to speak. According to his family, he was a medical student at the age of 20 when he disappeared 13 years ago.
شو اسمك شو اسمك شو عم حكاية لا تخاف شو اسمك أنت؟
خلي أهلك يجي ياخذوك مشان نشرك على التلفون.
يا أخي اسمك مشان يعرفوك.
أنت من وين أنت أخي؟
من وين أنت؟
لا حول ولا قوة.
من حمص؟ من حمص؟ إيه شو اسمك؟ شو اسمك؟
It appears that the prison was constructed with the intention of creating a sense of dislocation. A spiral staircase that appears infinite from ground level is located at its center. The 3 wings of the facility are accessible through the massive vault doors that extend beyond the metal bars that encircle the staircase. The rebel combatants claimed that each wing excelled in specific kinds of torture. No windows provide access to the outside world. According to the rebels, the mortuary at a hospital in Damascus, the capital, had around 40 tortured corpses transferred from this prison. As-Saleh also stated that a former detainee informed him that he was scheduled to be executed on the same day as his release. He stated that inmates who have been released are in a state of grievous health. In the prison, which primarily housed political prisoners who opposed al-Assad's authority, 50 to 100 individuals were executed daily. According to the White Helmets chief, an ex-inmate revealed that the female inmates were routinely raped and that when they become pregnant as a result, they gave birth in that cramped cell where both the mother and their babies endured terrible conditions.
كبروا 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 كبروا. يا الله ليك الولد يا حرام، ليك الولد يا حرام. انتوا منين عمي؟ شو بدك غراضك امانات يا اختي هلا وش الامانات؟ هلا
According to a 2017 report by Amnesty International, this jail has been the site of murder, torture, and forced disappearance and extermination since 2011, when the conflict in the country erupted. The rights organization determined that these actions constitute offenses against humanity. However, one must consider the irony inherent in the situation. Bashar al-Assad, under whose direction the prison guards were operating, exceeded all bounds of brutality, exhibiting a complete absence of humanity even towards infants and young children, and has now been granted asylum in Moscow on the basis of humanitarian grounds. On what basis is he currently residing with his family in an asylum in Moscow rather than spending time behind bars and facing charges of crimes against humanity on humanitarian principles? This is the justice system of the world we live in. Now the inmates of this prison would have been set free, but the scars and wounds that they endured and the torture they went through may never be healed. Those who lost their loved ones in the executions held in these prisons will remain scarred for life. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala heal the wounded memories of the detainees and make them start a new life filled with joy. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give martyrdom to those who lost their lives in these torture cells. Ameen.